welcome Adi Onyaso tonight. Nigeria hosts leaders of the maritime industry in Africa as Vice President calls for collaborative effort in tackling piracy on continental waterways. Supreme Court Justice Sylvester Nguta granted bail at the Code of Conduct Tribunal after pleading not guilty to 8-count charge of false declaration of assets. The drums are sounding loud in Osun State as Africans converge on Abeokuta for the second drum festival. And one policeman killed, another wounded on Paris Champs-Élysées just days before the first round of presidential election. And on business news tonight, World Bank and IMF leaders advocate more structural reforms to sustain global economic recovery.
And on sports news tonight, Athletics Federation of Nigeria lists African sprint queen Blessing Okagbare and 12 others in the provisional squad for the 2017 IAAF World Relays in the Bahamas.
And from Abuja, the Ministry of Health laments high infant mortality as over 50% of the country's infants are unable to survive beyond age 5.
We begin tonight with a major challenge facing the African continent, and that's piracy. Now, sea robbery on continental waters has brought together African leaders in Abuja, and they've resolved to collaborate to fight piracy. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who was speaking on this challenge, called on the leaders to develop an action plan that will aid the eradication of piracy. He also identified the need for adequate regulation in the sector and challenged the leaders to promote intra-African trade. Our correspondent Gloria Humezoke reports.
Please settle down now, His Excellency.
The Vice President's arrival to Africa's Prime Maritime Conference, the third in the series of conferences by the Association of African Maritime Administrators.
Your Excellency.
Addressing participants, Professor Osinbajo urged greater regional collaboration.
Many difficulties, but incredible opportunities. The good news is that we are on the right path. Collaboration and synergies. Our countries have to continue to develop the maritime sector, beginning with the national level to the sub-regional and regional levels. We are giving required support to the Nigerian Navy and other security agencies so that they can work with others within our sub-region to effectively police our waterways for trade to flourish. These arrangements will also contribute to resolving and eliminating piracy and sea robbery within our maritime domain.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives disclosed statistics of the Pan-African fish trade, which is worth about 20 billion euros, prompting the need to intensify efforts to promote intra-African trade in fisheries, while the Minister of Transport criticized the over-reliance on foreigners to drive the industry.
Unreported and unregulated IUU fishing leads to a loss of over 1.3 billion United States dollars in West Africa alone. Yearly, that is yearly. We must tighten the legal and regulatory framework to stop these losses. It is in this regard that we pledge our commitment to speedy processing of the proposed bill for an act to provide for the suppression of piracy and other unlawful acts at sea and other related offenses.
Africa, with its vast expanse of arable land and mineral resources, depends on import and export trade for economic survival. What we need is a coordinated approach so that Africa can benefit optimally from shipping and the blue economy. The African human capacity is greatly underdeveloped, leaving us to rely on foreigners to drive our industry. There is also near total absence of trained Coast Guard to monitor our maritime domain. It is therefore time not only to declare our independence, but to show it.
The Vice President then unveiled the logo for the new Nimasa brand. Now, the call reverberates for Nigeria in particular to deepen infrastructural investment in a transparent manner to stimulate local growth for the enduring interests of Africa. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
To legal matters now, suspended Supreme Court Judge Justice Sylvester Nguta today pleaded not guilty to an 8-count charge bordering on false declaration of assets before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The chairman of the tribunal, Honorable Justice Danladi Umar, granted Justice Nguta bail on self-recognizance and adjourned the matter to July the 12th for trial. Our correspondent Yemi Siekbai reports.
Supreme Court Justice Sylvester Nguta sits patiently, awaiting the commencement of his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The arraignment follows the submission of the now suspended justice's case file to the CCT in early April by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation on a 10-count charge bordering on false asset declaration. At the CCT, however, the judge is arraigned on an 8-count charge, the first 7 of which cover the offences of false declaration of assets contrary to Section 15 of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act, Cap C-15 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, that during June 2011 to July 2016, whilst serving as a Justice of the Supreme Court, he made a false declaration of assets to the Code of Conduct Bureau when he failed to declare a parcel of land measuring 1,722.952 square meters in Abakaleke, Ebonyi State. Plot 36, Onwe Road layout in Abakaleke, Ebonyi State. Plot 35, GRA Extension, Abakaleke, Ebonyi State. A Wrangler Jeep, a BMW 5 Series Saloon, a Hummer Jeep, falsified the cost of a Liberty Jeep, and Count 8 covers the offence of engaging and participating in a private business, contrary to Section 6 of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act. Justice Nguta pleaded not guilty to each count, after which his counsel applied for bail on his own recognizance. After the bail application was granted by Honourable Justice Danladi Umar, the matter was adjourned for trial for the 12th of July 2017. As to the grant of bail, counsel for the FRN had this to say.
You grant bail when the court is of the view that the person will not jump bail, and the court is of the view that he will not jump bail.
I am grateful to the court for recognizing that he is a person of rank, a person of dignity. There's a presumption of innocence in his favor that the court has respected, and granted him bail in his own recognizance.
Justice Nguta is one of the judges whose houses were famously raided by the DSS in October 2016, and he's currently standing trial on money laundering charges before the Federal High Court, Abuja. Yemisi Paya, Channels Television News.
A federal high court sitting in Lagos has ordered the temporary forfeiture to the federal government, the sum of 449 million naira found in the possession of one Muhammad Tawheed of Legico Shopping Plaza in Victoria Island. Justice Rilwan Aikawa gave the order after listening to an ex parte application by counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Rotimi Oyedepo. The EFCC had submitted that the Commission received an intelligence report on April the 7th, 2017, that money in several bags was stored in one of the shops in the plaza. The EFCC said their investigations indicated that the shop had not been opened for close to 2 years. The judge granted the request and also ordered the EFCC to advertise the order of the court within 14 days for any interested party to come forward and convince the court why the money should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government. The matter has been adjourned to May the 19th, 2017. Staying with legal matters now, human rights lawyer Femi Falana is asking the Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode not to order the execution of persons sentenced to death in the state. In a letter to the governor, Mr. Falana referred to a statement credited to the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Adeniyi Kazeem, to the effect that the governor would soon decide the fate of condemned prisoners on death row. He insists that death by hanging or firing squad violates the rights to freedom from torture. He asked Governor Ambode not to sign a death warrant authorizing the killing of any condemned prisoner, but instead convert the death sentence to life imprisonment. And away from legal matters now, the National Assembly has frowned on the operations of the 2.2 billion naira mini waterworks in Osun State, describing it as a huge waste of resources. Members of the House of Representatives who were on a tour of the 3 mini waterworks projects in the state said the State Water Corporation should be held responsible for hindering the progress of the project. But the General Manager of the Osun State Water Corporation, Olugbenga Awojigbe, explained that they were not carried along in the execution of the projects.
Water scarcity has been a perennial problem for residents of Osun State, and despite many water interventions in the past, a definite solution still seems to be far off for the people. To solve this problem, the federal government, through the zonal intervention funds in 2012, sited 3 mini waterworks at Pt.1, Ila and Ife-Odon towns of the state. A year after its completion and handover to the Osun State Water Corporation, the 2.2 billion naira waterworks project is yet to fulfill its purpose as the host communities continue to complain of shortage of water.
When they did the project, they tested it like 3 or 2 days. So after then, they have off it. It has not been working.
And at times when we get here, we will not get the water. They say they didn't pump it for us.
Members of the House of Representatives are in the locality to inspect the projects. They're not pleased with their discovery. The scheme at Pt.1 has not pumped water since it was handed over.
The GM said you will be here.
The situation is almost similar in the Ila and Ife-Odon sites. Although the generating set is working well, pumping water to residents remains a Herculean task, as the only taps operational in the town are in the premises of the waterworks. This did not go down well with the lawmakers. They're accusing the State Water Corporation and the Osun River Basin Authority for the failed water project.
If Osun Water Corporation feels that some things that needed to be done were not done, they will in turn hold Osun River Basin Authority responsible, and then they will call their contractor to make amends.
While the representative of the Osun River Basin Authority claims the project was handed over to the Osun State Water Corporation upon completion, the general manager of the corporation says otherwise.
After the handing over of the 3 schemes, we did a memo to the governor informing him of the deficiencies in all of the schemes, and will provide solutions on how we can best put each of the scheme to utilization.
The scheme can work depending on how the Osun State Water Corporation gets money, either to buy this or when the IBDC supply electricity.
As this blame game continues, what residents are waiting for is to see that water flows from their taps again.